Hi there, and thanks for watching the next video of Palo Alto Video Training Service. In this video, we're going to talk about authentication, LDAP authentication, and RADIUS authentication and integration with Palo Alto Firewalls. As I already mentioned, Palo Alto Firewalls are next generation firewalls. So basically, user identification is one of the most important tasks. And these firewalls create rules and policies based on user. You could identify the users on Active Directory and LDAP servers, and you could filter those users, or you could limit access for some specific users to some specific URLs or categories or resources and things like that. And you could also have RADIUS authentication. We're going to show you how to integrate your Palo Alto Firewall with LDAP and how to do it with RADIUS. So quickly again, we talked about creating a lab. So this is the lab that we have. Palo Alto Firewalls with two interfaces. One is management, one inside, one is outside. We have our LDAP server, which is our Windows 2012 server, Active Directory server on the inside network. And we got our Palo Alto Firewall network, inside network interface connected to that. So that will be basically the connectivity between our LDAP server and Palo Alto Firewall. And we have a RADIUS client. We have a RADIUS server installed, free RADIUS server installed on our PC. So Palo Alto will be using the management interface to access the PC RADIUS server and do the RADIUS authentication in there. So let's get started. So first thing first, we just make sure our firewall is up and running. So we see our Palo Alto Firewall is up and running, and we got our Windows server up and running as well. So I'll just quickly show you. Our Windows server is a 2012 server, and we got Active Directory services installed on this server. I have already created a user called PAN within the user, so within the user's container of Active Directory. I do have a Palo Alto admin group as well, which obviously that user is part of that group. So we now need to connect to our Palo Alto Firewall and start the configuration. We just log into 192.168.62.10, which is the management interface of the Palo Alto Firewall, and log in with your username and password. Okay, so first thing that we have to do, as I mentioned, because the Active Directory server is located on the inside interface, by default, as I said, Palo Alto Firewall will try to access LDAP server or any other services like RADIUS or anything else through its management interface. But for this particular case, you can see that our LDAP server is located on the inside interface. So we have to make sure that we tell Palo Alto that to access LDAP, you have to use your inside interface, not the management interface. So the way to do that is just go to Device tab, Operations, Services, click on the service route configuration. So you see, use management interface for all. Let's change that, customize it. for LDAP, and you're gonna say for LDAP use ethernet1/1, and the IP address is 192.168.1.10, which is the inside interface of the Palo Alto Firewall. Okay, commit the change. So this will basically tell the firewall to use inside interface whenever there is an LDAP request or LDAP query. So this is the first step. The second step that we have to do is just to create an LDAP profile. Here we go. We just go to device tab again, and under server profiles, select LDAP, add a new LDAP service. We just call it ngco_LDAP. ngco is our domain name, ngco.local. Just add a server name in there. Our server name is JEI. It's just a name. It doesn't really have to be exactly the server name. We just put it in there for information. Our LDAP server IP address is the IP address of our Active Directory server, and that's 192.168.1.2. LDAP port is 389. There are some basic server settings that to be done. So we change the type to Active Directory. Our base DN. So if you are familiar with the distinguished names in Active Directory, you could basically set it up. But this is mainly the DN for your Active Directory. As I said, our domain name is ngco.local, so DC equal ngco, DC equal local is the distinguished name that we will be using there. The path for our PAN. So you need to know your complete DN for the user that you are working on. I just forgot which tab it was when. So you could find this out with a command, psquery command, and psquery user -name, and it will give you the full DN for that specific user. So you just need to copy paste it. So psquery user -name and your username will give you the DN for that specific user. So you're gonna use that in here. Type the password for that specific user again, and we're not using SSL for this particular. You could, if you want to, not using SSL, and just add it. So we added our server. That was the first step. We got an LDAP profile, which is our Active Directory connection to our Active Directory server. The next step we got to do is set up an authentication profile. So we just add an authentication profile. It's going to be LDAP, and we just choose the server profile that we created, ngco_LDAP. our login attribute is some account name. That's the account attribute for Active Directory, and our domain is ngco.local. And we just call this auth profile, ngco auth profile. So that's it. And if you want to limit it to some list, we could, but we're gonna allow everyone for that particular authentication. So now we created authentication profile, we created our LDAP. So we got an authentication profile that we can use with different applications and different things. For example, VPN and stuff. You could use that authentication profile if you want to. We got our LDAP connection. The next step that we need to do is to make sure we can do user identification. User identification, as I said, is an important part of Palo Alto Firewall, so it's quite important to set this up properly. Otherwise, the logs and stuff on your firewall is not going to make any sense for you. So to do the user identification, we just click on user identification on the left side. So we've got different options here. The most important one is group mapping. So we just ngco LDAP, and we call it SP or server profile, whatever. So we just choose the server profile that we created, and the domain is ngco.local. So we got some additional configuration in there that they are fairly basic. You just go to the group inclusion. If we have done all the configuration properly, we should be able to query the domain request. So we just click on that, and you can see that the Active Directory objects are actually seen in here. So we could basically add the groups and stuff in there. So we could basically go in there and just add all the domain users and click on OK. So now we have a group map created, and all of the users in domain users will be identified from now on. And basically you'll see on the logs and stuff, you will see a username rather than just an IP address. So now we've done all of our Active Directory settings. Click on Commit to just apply the configuration. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will be with you in the next video.